Do you ever feel unsatisfied after every meal and you can't stop overeating? You tried eating less to stay within your deficit, but end up going way over with 100 calories here and there because you decided if I mess up now, then I might as well eat as much as I want and whenever I want. What if I told you that with a few simple volume hacks, you can get back on track and get better results fast? Our first volume hack comes with drinking a glass of water before or after a meal. When we fill up on water, it gives us more volume in our stomach so that we don't overeat. So if I drink 16 ounces of water before a meal, I am less likely to overeat in calories because I have more volume and less food in my stomach. For a lot of people, volume eating can be very helpful. So when you drink more water, it helps you to not overeat as many calories because we're still getting that sense of fullness. In the long run, this helps you to lose more weight because you're able to burn more fat because we're eating less calories and we're getting more food, which helps us to feel psychologically and mentally satisfied because with a lower amount of food, it doesn't give us that sense of pleasure when it comes to eating foods that we can enjoy food and eat more and not feel as restricted while also piling on more weight. Because if you really think about it, there's a lot of foods like dressings, for example, that have a ton of calories, but they don't tend to have a lot given to you in one serving. For example, a single serving of dressing tends to have 190 calories for 2 tablespoons. If we want a physical example, putting something like this onto a food scale is going to give us an example of what that looks like, and it's not going to be very much. So for 2 tablespoons, that is only a very, very small amount versus something like fat-free dressing. You're able to get in more of that thing that you like with less calories. So when you're drinking more water, you're able to get in less calories while also feeling the physical sensation of fullness by volume. And most people benefit from this because they have a really hard time overeating. And if they're eating something that's more calorically dense, yes, they're getting in more calories. However, the goal of weight loss is to eat less and move more. So while yes, sometimes we feel more full with more calories, that's not always the case because a lot of our food is genetically modified to be addictive so that we can eat more of it and spend more money on it to make companies gain more money. So if we're being more mindful about our food choices, we can save more money for ourselves so that we're not spending it mostly on things like food. We're actually able to spend it on something that's actually going to be beneficial for our body and give us the calories that our body needs from whole foods. Whole foods tend to be more filling because they have things like protein, fat, fiber, carbohydrates, everything that we need to feel satisfied, but also eat less calories. While water doesn't necessarily have these things, it does have that volume effect because you can drink more and have more fullness in your stomach without consuming so much food. Having a glass of water before or after a meal is only one piece of the puzzle when it comes to volume. Our second way to add more volume is to eat more fruits and vegetables. Fiber is the thing that is found within fruits and vegetables and is one of the most important indicators of triggering that fullness factor that we need in order to lose weight. So again, just like the water, if you're having fruits and vegetables before you eat all of your other components like your fats, your carbohydrates, your proteins, either way, when you have it before or when you have it after, you're still going to get a fullness factor like you do when you drink water. And that is because fruits and vegetables, at least those that are lower in calories, tend to be mostly made up of water and fiber. So it's like a 2-in-1 to fully maximize volume in your stomach. Also, by doing this, you're helping yourself to get in more nutrients and to fill in those nutrient gaps that you typically didn't get in your diet before. Most people's diets are mainly composed of ultra processed foods, and that is why a lot of obese people tend to have malnourishment. Because, yes, while they are getting in a lot of calories, malnourishment doesn't necessarily mean being really, really thin. Malnourishment can actually look like not getting in the proper nutrients that your body needs in order to thrive. So, that is why it's so important also to consume fruits and vegetables. And fiber signals to the brain that you are full. Just watch out for the ones that are more starchy since they tend to have more calories and they can be eaten in moderation, but you just need to have some caution and be careful and understand which vegetables and fruits are going to be the most helpful for maximizing weight loss. When it comes down to it, of course, you can always use measurement by adding in things like a food scale or measuring cups. These things can be very helpful to understand the proper calories because even though fruits and vegetables tend to be really low in calories, there are some things that are more calories, and calories are still calories. So if you're eating more of something and you go over your maintenance or you eat too much in a meal and you don't really have that much space left in your day to eat that much later on. For example, maybe you ate something that was too high in calories at lunch. You go into dinner and then you eat something else that is even more high in calories. And so the next thing you know, you're going over your maintenance. Our third volume hack that's going to be super helpful for weight loss is slowing down. In a society that constantly tells us to be going, and going, we tend to get very, very stressed out and anxious. When we are told to constantly be rushing around and that we don't have time, we tend to project all of that behavior around every area of our life. So if we implement that around food, we are going to associate eating as stress and anxiety. And what we need is to calm down, relax, be mindful, and be present. So the reason why slowing down is considered a volume hack is because when we slow down, we give our body enough time to process and digest some of that food when it enters the body and when it goes into your stomach. So when you eat something and chew the food, that is the first step of digestion. The next step of digestion is when it hits your stomach. So when you have the right foods that are nutritious and whole, you give yourself more of an opportunity to have that fullness that you need to feel satisfied while also being mindful about how your body feels with each food and what you're feeling and just how you're feeling in general. So that is why it's so important during meal times in order for you to feel less anxious or less stressed. If going into a separate room is going to make you feel better about your environment and you won't feel the need to always be tense or uptight all the time, then going off on your own is going to be more beneficial for you so that you can have less stress, you can properly relax, and allow yourself to really tune in to your hunger and those signals that are going to train your brain how to eat properly. Furthermore, slowing down and eating more slowly helps to prevent things like bloating, constipation, indigestion, and an upset stomach. And the reason why we need to make this a priority is because nobody wants to experience bloating, nobody wants to experience an upset stomach or indigestion because it simply just doesn't make us feel good. Healthy digestion is just as important as weight loss is because it's also another health aspect that helps us to not only look good, but feel good from the inside and out. We shouldn't just be focusing on how we look because that is further promoting only vanity. We also need to focus on how things make us feel, how foods make us feel, how environments make us feel. And those indicators are going to dictate what is going to be the best thing that is further going to promote a overall better lifestyle. Volume eating can be a very effective tool for fat loss, and you don't have to feel trapped in your bad habits, but you can break them with strategies that increase satisfaction. A little education on how our bodies work and brains work goes a long way to getting us one step closer to building a lifestyle that sticks. While nutrition is important for weight loss, so is exercise. For example, cardio. If you're struggling to see the effects of cardio on your journey, check out my video on how much cardio you need to lose weight.